Hi, and welcome to our January in Dialogue series. Today with us, we have Dr. Griggs. We were just kind of chatting about your recent role as an international health ambassador for the United States. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Congressman Troy Carter on November 25th, 2024, um, gave me a resolution and recognized and designated me as an international health and wellness ambassador for the second district of Louisiana for the United States Congress. Uh, it's a big deal.
Yeah,
I'm really proud of it.
that's awesome. Yeah, and so you have been doing so much good work in our city already. And so now you can do it on a larger scale and really promote that access to health and wellness. And that's really what we're here to talk about today is how to have these healthy goals for the new year. We have so much to look forward to in 2025, despite the recent terrorist attack on our
Mhm.
city. And we really wanted to talk to you about how maybe we can talk to our kids about that, because I know like kids are going back to school this week, and they might be coming home with questions, and
Mhm.
really throughout the year they might continue to have questions as events unfold, and we live in the world that we live in.
Yeah, the first thing that we need to do is we need to sit on the airplane and pay attention to the speech. Um, Pretend that you're holding a child and put your mask on first.
Mm.
What we need to do as the tall people in the room, unless you have tall kids, is every morning when you look in the mirror, just do a self-assessment. But before you do that, I tell people forgive themselves.
Okay.
We are our hardest critics and we beat ourselves up. We're not the best parents. We're not the best friend. We're not the best grandparent. We should have done this at work. And you know what? It's okay. The world went on and you wake up again the next morning to see yourself and brush your teeth. So again, start with a smile. You talked about what happened in recent events. And, I've been beating this drum since it happened is we're not okay.
Right.
There's such a thing as PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, but there also is traumatic stress, which we're still powering through. And as I talk to people in the community, there are unexpected triggers. There are people that listen to sirens and they have minor anxiety attacks. There are people that get like myself that got unexpectedly surprised on social media by visions of stuff that I never wanted. I
Right.
can't unsee or unforget. So before we try to help our children and others, we need to help ourselves and have real, honest assessments and conversations with ourselves, forgive ourselves, because in spite of the things that are going on in the world right now, 2025 is really coming in like a bad guest. Like you have
Yeah.
no home training whatsoever. I mean, we got stress every time you turn around. There's something else happening. Look, man, we need to teach it some manners.
Right.
And in doing so, we need to assess ourselves. And first of
Mhm.
all, again, forgive ourselves, understand there's no right or wrong. These are natural emotions that we
Right.
have. And if it persists for weeks, then you should possibly talk about getting to a therapist. But allow yourself to be angry, allow yourself to be sad,
Right.
allow yourself to have unexpected emotions. My grandmother used to say, cry and keep going, but don't move too fast. Sit in the moment. We're not still enough. And then once we get to that place and we forgive ourselves, we smile, we brush our teeth, and you can fake the smile by looking at your teeth,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
Then you should go out, prepare yourself. Just like in any other situation when dealing with your children, you want to make sure that you're a base,
Right.
and they're not able to trigger and to have you respond in a way that wouldn't be helpful to the situation on them. So allow yourself to calm down, forgive yourself, and then open your mind, just like you would to a friend, but especially to your children. Listen to
Right.
everything. Ask what do you perceive is going on? What do you think? Watch their behavior. Pick your times that you want to talk, but get it out because a lot of our kids have, well, most kids now have access to the same internet sites
Right.
that we do, and process the emotion and feelings. Let them know that sometimes bad things do happen.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there's always a light somewhere, but you're not going to see it sometimes. So you have to, in order to be a full human being, you have to nurture all of your emotions and acknowledge them, right? Sometimes you're going to be angry. Sometimes you're going to be afraid. Sometimes you're going to be sad. But you have people that love you, and we're here. If you ever want to talk to someone, come talk to us, and let's just
Right.
talk through it. Let's get through it together.
Right.
And that's the whole thing.
Right. Yeah, so it's acknowledging one that you need to take stock of your own emotions before you enter into a space where you're helping someone else, like especially a child, through their emotions about the
Just like you need to brush
situation.
your teeth,
Right,
right?
right.
Fake the smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can say, hey, like this is something that is hard and ongoing, and really acknowledging, yeah, we're going to do this together. And I know the world might not feel safe, but I'm safe place
Yes.
for you to go, and making sure that you create that rapport with your child, that like you are that safe place to land even when things feel unsteady.
And then most importantly, in whether or not, the kids reach the adolescence and the teenagers, they hide their emotions, watch your child as you would if they were an infant. Watch for changes in behaviors, isolating behavior, moods. This almost sounds like a teenager, but no,
Yeah.
uncharacteristic, isolating behavior, not wanting to be with their friends, um, just not taking pleasure in the things, or different conversation, different verbiage. Watch their actions and then address it gently before you probe. And again, if it seems like it's something that is persisting, then that's when you should seek the help of a professional. And for yourself, there is the 988 hotline. I can't emphasize that enough. It's not just for suicide. It's 988lifeline.org, but on your phone or text, it's just 988. There will be someone on the other end that can help talk you through whatever emotions you're going to. It's anonymous, and it's just an ear, because we all want to be heard to get it out and process.
Right. And hopefully they can point you towards resources in the city or in your area.
They absolutely can. And then again, even before getting to that, if you start to feel off, I don't know about you, but since the new year, this year, because of that bad guess 2025 coming in, I felt a little off. So I find myself talking to my loved ones more about what's going on, and it helps. It helps a lot, because it's very isolating. And that's the other thing, is you want to limit your exposure and limit your children's exposure, because it's very isolating and triggering to be scrolling and playing on social media, and all of a sudden something pops up. What happens is you're alone when you experience that stress. We could be sitting talking, and I'm going through trauma, and my mind and my body is going through that traumatic response without anyone even knowing it. And being alone is one of the worst things that you can do.
And so that can kind of maybe segue then into our conversation about what are some healthy habits and goals that we can create in this new year. Because I agree, like 2025 has certainly started off with a bad guest.
Yeah, it's the Grinch. The Grinch is supposed to be at the end of the year. It's coming in at the beginning. We got to teach it some manners.
Yeah, we have to like expand that heart.
Quickly.
Expand that heart. So how do we do that in a way to, and really frame it as like a family goal, of how do we connect more with each other? How do we build those healthy habits going into the rest of this year?
So I'm really glad you framed it that way. And I think a different approach for 2025 is, we always think, I'm going to give this up, and I'm going to, instead of doing something extracting, why don't we add things? I'm going to add one smile. I'm going to give one smile to each person every day that doesn't know me. I'm just going to walk around and just smile. It's amazing. You talk about the international work. Certain countries I'd heard about how, they can be not too friendly, especially if you're from the States and you don't try to speak the language and da-da-da. I've never been to a country where I just smiled, and they don't smile back. They could be having a rough day, and it's just babies, the whole nine. So adding a smile, adding a healthy habit. Instead of, hey, I'm going to give up sweets, you know what? I'm going to add fruits or vegetables to everything. Every time I eat, if I eat one piece of candy, I'm going to eat orange and apple, and hopefully over time, you can acclimate and work that into your diet to the point that you might not want the processed foods anymore. I'm going to add 5 minutes of walking. I'm going to add 10 minutes of time just with my kid. I'm going to teach my children how to play Monopoly. I'm going to teach my kids how to play board games. I'm going to teach them how to play chess and how to think and critically think and analyze. We're going to pick every day, we're going to journal something good that happened today.
Yeah, I love that.
You gravitate towards what you think about. And what you gravitate towards becomes your life. So if we can work on, give me a positive thought today. Something good about you and something good that happened in the world. If you do that, you can keep that positive focus throughout the rest of the year. But most importantly, forgive yourself every morning if you fell short, and move on.
Right. So it's that solution-focused approach, because, our brains want to move towards good things and away from bad things. So if we're so focused on the negative habits that we don't want to carry into 2025 that we had last year, then we're just going to be beating ourselves up, and we're going to be in our heads about like, oh, I can't believe I'm this type of person. But instead, you're suggesting that, that kind of more positive approach, that let's look at things that we want to add, and let's look at things that we want to be excited about.
Yeah, it appeals to our natural nature as human beings. Have you ever bought like a favorite shirt, a favorite car, a certain car? Oh, I'm gonna get that red car, and it's the only one, and I will enjoy it to myself. And the moment you buy it, you see every red car ever made in the history of the world parked within a 2-block radius of your house. But you're looking for red cars. Your eyes are automatically drawn because you've been thinking about it and you made it happen. And now it's the same thing with the good things in life. You start to see the beauty in things. This past May, I walked 1 million steps on a challenge. I didn't think I was going to do it. I thought it was just, it was a challenge. I was like, I'll do 1 million. And then I started doing the math, and I just started walking, and I can't believe it happened. Well, it slowed me down. I started to appreciate the beauty in things. I like butterflies. I didn't realize I like butterflies that much. Just watching the trees develop over time, watching the nature do its thing, the smiles and the families, you slow down. I started looking for the positive things, and now it's kind of hard not to be optimistic in the midst of things because I look for the good first. It's like eating on your plate, right? When I tell people to eat healthy foods, well, why don't you just start by eating your vegetables first? If there are no vegetables on your plate, I think you know where to start. Eventually, over time, it gets integrated into your diet, and you start looking for the vegetables, and next thing you know, you're changing your habits. It's the same thing with our emotions and our mind.
Yeah, so again, it's that positive first, and really, really focusing on gratitude, it sounds like, is something that you're suggesting as maybe a goal to add into these family habits.
Yeah, and it takes those big words. We're in a mindful state these days, and for the last, especially since the pandemic, we've all been talking about being mindful the whole nine. We talk about affirmations. Well, okay, let's get rid of the big word. Gratefulness. Just be thankful. I'm here. I get to do it again. All right, I messed up yesterday. I'm gonna do it even better, and I'll find even more good. It's that approach, and it's contagious. I'm smiled at you, smiled at everybody in the room. They all smile back.
Yeah. And it's a gentle approach too, where it's not again kind of going back to the positive approach, the gentle, like, I'm not going to focus on what I did wrong. I'm not going to focus on where I fall short. It's good to note because you want to move forward.
Yes.
But having that gratitude, that forgiveness, that thankfulness really helps you to have that more, I guess, that positive outlook on the future. And that's what we need, especially, again, like at the beginning of our conversation, we need to have that hopeful look ahead.
Yeah, so, and it's not toxic. It's not the toxic positivity. We've been around those people. I'm like, what world are you living in? No, you acknowledge that, and that's what we talk to the kids about. Bad things are going to happen, and there's usually a lesson in every loss, and that's how we get better in life. But you acknowledge it, and then you kind of just put something. It's going to be okay. I don't know how yet, but it's going to be okay. What smiles did you see today? Totally might not be related. But you always find the positive out of that. Out of the discarded compost, there's usually a big, beautiful flower, or a sprout of a flower. You know what I mean? Like it's focusing on the positive things without imposing it on anyone. It's a smile, or acknowledging. But the big thing is also, along with that, is listening to other people. When you listen to your child, it's not for a response. Sometimes they just want to be heard. Most people just want to be heard. If you think about your best friend, favorite cousin, brother, or sister, there'll be things you just didn't understand as a kid, and you just sit. What are we doing? We're going to sit in the middle of the street till you feel like getting up. Well, you look ridiculous. I'm like, well, I'll look ridiculous with you. And the next thing you know, you're getting up, you're laughing, and you forgot about it. But you got to acknowledge these moments and then move on.
Right. Yeah, I love that. Thank you for clarifying that too, because it is not just this like, all right, well, we'll just like ignore what bad happened and move on. We're going to acknowledge and move forward.
Yeah. Be present in that moment, because there are natural responses that we are wired to have, and we have to let those happen and not suppress them, because they'll manifest themselves in other ways, especially in kids. It could be years and years later, adults too. So again, it's just being honest with yourself and being open to your kids and their loved ones.
how would you recommend a parent or maybe like a family to go about setting these goals or having a conversation where they talk about what do we want to look forward to in the new year?
So again, you work with children. Children love group activities where, oh me, oh wait, I got one. And you might hear the same one over and over, but that might be a priority.
Right.
And so again, you make it a group or a fun activity. You allow them to pick one, a different one. You could make it every week. Hey, did anybody reach their goal this week? Nope. Well, we have a whole, and that's another thing people don't think about, right? You make these New Year's resolutions. You have a year. You have an entire year. If you mess up again, forgive yourself.
Right.
Be grateful. I get a chance to start again and keep moving until you accomplish one. You know, big championships are won one game at a time. Small successive wins, and you just keep going. That's the thing. And make it a group. Like I said, make it a group activity. Make it creative. And there's no idea that's too silly.
Yeah.
Because the silly ones, when we're with our kids, make us smile the most.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Have to remember that as a Saints fan.
Ooh, well, the win is we'll get a great draft pick this year.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we might have a good coach and a good quarterback. But we'll see.
We suffered through 2024.
We did.
We're looking ahead to 2025. No, I love that. Like, really including the children in the conversation, making it, a fun activity. We did vision boards together as a staff this week, pulling like arts and crafts out. Like, let's make something that we can look at and see and maybe measure, like, how did we do this week? And if it wasn't the best, then reminding yourself, like, I have, 300 more days to try again.
You know, you just said something that really hit. It's channeling our inner children, not just to connect with our children, but to connect with each other. Right. You ever walked up on a group and they're just laughing and nobody knows what you're laughing at. And the next thing you're laughing hysterically. Then it turns into a hysterical laugh. It's a release, an emotional release that you might have needed. And there's nothing wrong with looking through the world through the eyes of a child with a knowing mind sometimes, putting things in, able to contextualize things. It'll help you do it for the kids. But anytime you get to interact with the kids and see things from their lens, because we forget. Forget a lot of times. Our most creative moments come out when you're doing vision board. Well, you have talents that you forgot.
Right.
Yeah, so it's that. And that's part of the connectivity.
Yeah, so it sounds like gratitude, connection. Are there other goals that you would recommend parents and kids, families look at for this year?
So again, spend time with your kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews. Sometimes we need to teach them how to play. And it's always fun. I've had more fun with the nieces and nephews playing red light, green light, mother may I, hide and seek, it. Just, who's it? You're it. What does that mean? Run! I mean, just things like that. Spending time, it nurtures their relationship, but it also models what to look for other than working with thumbs, because we got to remember that it's the human connection. We need the oxytocin burst by looking eye to eye. You get longer than 2 seconds, makes it creepy, but even during the pandemic, we recognized and we found the stat that even connecting with your pets causes an oxytocin burst. We need the connection, and we have to model it.
Yeah, because I was recently, I think the Surgeon General in the last couple of years has been talking about loneliness, epidemic, and all these things. Like, this is something that we need to remember as a society, that we need the connection, and we're struggling to get it. So it's a modeling and really going out of our way to make sure that we do this.
Yeah, we saw during the pandemic the effects on our children of lacking the connection.
Right.
We are social creatures. We connect, and again, a lot of kids haven't had that modeled, unfortunately, because in their early years they were in the pandemic. We need to teach kids how to take a walk again with their friends. We need to teach kids how to take a walk again with their families, meaningful conversations, eye contact, putting the phone down. And that's something that I do find in other countries, is that when they meet for a coffee, the phones are down. When they're walking the streets on the sidewalk, they're talking. They're focused on the relationships, because that's, at the end of the day, it's our human connection that allows us to thrive.
Right.
And it's our purpose for being here. So the loneliness epidemic can be defeated if we would just connect more safely, of course.
Yes.
Stay home if you're sick, get your shots, do your thing, but safely.
Yeah.
Wash your hands. Yeah.
Right. I love that, because I think there are actionable things that we can do to incorporate that. So I'm even thinking, like, if connection is the goal, then how can we connect on our drive home from school? You
Yeah.
know, like let's make a point to talk about one good thing, one bad thing, one silly thing that happened at school today. And that's like, you know, you could do that every single day and make it a habit, and then you're in a conversation.
Yeah, I have a friend who he and his son have this competition to be first in, I guess it's the drop off line.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's not there, he said his son is his number one hater. Oh, he gives him the blues. And I follow it on social media. He just, I can't believe we're late. His little personality comes up, but it's their bond and connecting, making up words to songs. Okay, everybody, okay, what's the word to this song? Just little fun stuff, old school stuff. I guess I'm old. Stuff that's entertaining, it's creative, but it's connecting, and it's amazing how those conversations. When we talk about mentorship,
Right.
the most memorable moments happen on the most mundane things, like a trip to the grocery store,
Right.
a ride in the car randomly, a road trip where you just end up talking and you end up connecting. It's the same thing with our kids. It's the same thing with folks. Just talk more, and it's okay to be silly.
I love that. Are there resources that you can point parents towards as they're trying to maybe have this conversation, or like find ideas for goals for the new year?
There are a number of sites that you can go to, and the exact ones
Yeah.
are escaping me right now, but they can come here.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, for a lot of things. I mean, I've had some of my best days, most fun days here with my friends and people with their kids, just watching the kids play. And that's another thing that as adults we need to do, is we need to go and watch. There's nothing like watching kids play, and that you don't even know. Not creepy,
Right.
but I mean, just understanding that play is a natural part of life.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, this is the Children's Museum is a great place to come and connect, and we're really like built for connection.
And that's exactly what it is on every level. There's something here to stimulate every part of an adult parent's mind and a child's mind. And I can't count the number of opportunities to connect.
Yeah, I love that. And it sounds like the theme that we've been talking about is connection, maybe gratitude, and are there any other like really maybe stronger words or themes that we can look at as we're forming these goals?
Yeah, it's bonding.
Bonding.
It's connection, it's gratitude, and it's bonding. Now, of course, with our families, but with our communities and the people we're around. There are, if you go on social media, there are certain groups that you can join of other parents with ideas. Pinterest has some really interesting stuff, and I'm trying to go in the digital space because that's where a lot of people are. But if you just ask, there are a bunch of different groups that you can talk about. That you can do. It's Frisbee. It's City Park. I mean, we have Frisbee golf. How fun is that? Whether you can play or not, just throwing a Frisbee in the middle of the yard all day. Getting outside, exercising, and really, again, allowing yourself to be fully human. We have to get outside. We have to exercise. We like to connect. Putting our phone down, disconnecting for a minute. It's okay. It's okay.
I love that. I think it's cool because goals are helpful. Like the efficacy of setting a goal and seeing yourself make that progress helps you to connect to that human part of you that sees like, I am growing.
Yes.
You know? And when you're modeling that with your family, when you're modeling like, let's set this intention of connection, of belonging, of play, and then you set that specific, like, we're going to include, one day a week where we're outside all day,
You pick the game this week, I pick it next week. You pick the game this week.
And you can see over time how you all grow and really point that out to as a family, like, look at how we've come together this year.
As we're sitting here talking, I'm thinking back to some of my most memorable moments with my family as a kid they were play. They were backgammon, chess, wrestling. Whoa, worldwide wrestling, jumping off the top rope with my uncle. I mean, just the silliest and most, but it's bonding in their chess. If you learn how to play chess, you learn how to live in critical thinking, like the smallest things, but they're the things that matter most. And they usually don't cost very much at all. Arts and crafts. I mean, just figuring out, finding science experiments on YouTube and just doing them with common things around safely. Safely.
I really appreciate your clarifications that you've been peppering in. It's good to know. It's good to remember. Yes, we need that safe piece. We need the not creepy piece.
Under supervision of an adult. Yes.
Right. I love that. What are some goals that you have for this year?
So again, I think I've given away some of them to
Yeah.
try to give away a smile a
Hmm.
day. Immediately when I'll say they seem unfortunate, thinking going to that there's a lesson in this and what's the
Hmm.
positive I can do. When when I feel off, trying to do something kind for someone else, it usually makes me feel better
Hmm.
on the inside. Um, I lost a lot of weight. I want to not give up anything. I want to add in
Right.
more of what I had, more vegetables, drink more water. Uh, a lot of people, I lost a lot of weight. They don't want me to walk anymore, but I want to exercise more and find
Hmm.
something fun. I want to take on a new talent.
Hmm.
I don't know, playing the piano, learning another sport, archery or something like that. But
Yeah.
that's it's still figuring itself out. But
Hmm.
I'm gentle with my goals. And the
Yes.
thing is, living in New Orleans, we do have we have a pass because we really have from January 1st until Ash Wednesday to
Yeah.
get it right. Yeah, we
You
have a
get a
runway.
do-over.
Yeah, we got a
Yeah.
run for it. It's Groundhog Day
Yeah.
every day, which is good.
Right.
It's good.
Right. And I think that that's something to really think about too, where it's, yes, we have the new year. Yes, you have a lot of energy to do these new things, but you can always restart. There's always that opportunity to say, like, hey, we've noticed that we haven't been connecting. And
Hmm.
maybe you're in April and you're like, oh man, this school year has just been flown by and I don't know what my kid was doing all year. Take that last month and say, like, we're going to be intentional about May.
Yeah.
Like, let's really pay attention in May to what you do at school every day. Like, it doesn't have to be this, like, oh, it didn't happen in January, not going to happen the rest
Right.
of the
Right.
year. It can be at any point as you notice, and are present to
You
the
know,
situations in your
a
family.
good thing to do with kids is, and you end up finding some amazing surprises. You allow them to teach you
Mm,
something that you didn't know. Teach me a talent. Teach me how to do something that I can't do, that you
okay.
do really well. And you'd be surprised. There are so many artists and mathematicians. And like, did you know how to calculate Celsius and Fahrenheit?
No.
A kid told me if you get Fahrenheit, you subtract 30 and divide by 2.
Okay.
So if it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit, subtract 30, it's 30. Divide
Hmm.
by 2, it's 15 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
Who knew? It's math savant, right?
Yeah. That's going to be very helpful when you're
Yeah,
when you're
exactly.
overseas.
So take the time in our kids to nurture their gifts and talents,
Hmm.
but let them teach. And again, it's another moment for
Hmm.
connection. And it's also a moment, most importantly, you ask about my goals, is I'm trying to pick every day a moment to be still
Mm.
and be fully present, like now,
Right.
fully
Right.
present. It's tough these days, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It sounds like we're really advocating for a return to simplicity, return to the basics of just, yeah, human connection and letting that maybe drive our year ahead.
Yes,
I love
human
that.
connection and being okay with being to ourselves. I can remember, we all can remember there are times where we just need to sit outside, go to the park and just sit out and just do nothing and think, just let our brain decompress and reset.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate everything that you shared.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.